Good morning, YouTube. It is another beautiful day here in sunny Narrabeen. That ridiculous noise in the background is Hulk doing his thing. He's got the biscuits going on. Breakfast time for him too. Gonna take you guys through another day of eating today. Got a day to myself. Beck is at work all day today, and on top of that, she also has her PT course tonight. So pretty much got my entire day's worth of food ahead of me. My kitchen is an absolute pigsty, so I'm going to try not to show you that. Went to my favourite cafe this morning, Cafe Nostra, which is in Crow's Nest. Got myself a bacon and egg roll. Had a bit of a hankering, so I am going to cure that craving this morning. Eating out is obviously something that a lot of us like to do, but maybe some of us aren't quite so sure how to go about doing. So I went for a bacon egg roll this morning. I think it's a pretty easy thing to log. It's one of those things too that you can pretty much custom order. It's one, you can order it with or without certain ingredients. It's fairly easy to do. So I ordered a bacon and egg roll this morning to go with the red velvet latte, which I got upon dropping Beck off to work. Just went a stock entry as far as my FitnessPal is concerned. I literally typed in red velvet latte, picked the most appropriate entry, and have sacrificed about 10 grams of fat and about 40 grams of carbs for the purpose of drinking a red velvet latte. It was delicious though. If you haven't ever had one before and you can get to local embassy in Ultimo, definitely do it. I did mention that my bacon and egg roll is from a different cafe, but that's because as I left the cafe in Ultimo, I saw a sign for a bacon and egg roll. Didn't have time to grab one, but I thought that is what I want for breakfast. So I'm going to hit that right now. I ordered one without butter, simply because I know that A, butter has a ton of calories in it, and B, very hard to log when someone else is doing the spreading of the butter on the bun. So I went a bacon and egg roll on Turkish, I'm pretty sure. I'm about to open it. Okay, I was wrong about it being on Turkish. I don't really know what sort of bread that is, to be honest. But as you can see, there are 2 eggs in there, winning, and probably 150 grams of bacon. I'm not going to weigh it. You could be pedantic if you wanted to. You could also order it without barbecue sauce if you wanted to bring it home and obviously put some sugar-free stuff on to help with controlling the amount of calories that are in the meal. I'm not too concerned with the amount of sauce they put on my meal, simply because I have plenty of calories to play with. I don't mind if they do use full sugar sauce, which they obviously are, considering cafes obviously want their food to taste as delicious as possible. They're not going to skimp any costs as far as calories are concerned. So I'm going to look for a generic bread roll bun. I'm going to add in 2 eggs, about 150 grams worth of shortcut bacon, probably 30 to 50 grams of barbecue sauce, and that is how you log a bacon and egg roll that you've ordered from a cafe. I'm also going to have a protein shake to kick things off this morning, simply because there's probably not an optimal amount of protein in a bacon and egg roll alone. Ideally, what we want to be doing when we're eating our protein throughout the day is trying to split up our daily intake evenly amongst our meals if we can. The idea being that obviously if we're having 4 or 5 meals, we're distributing our protein intake out evenly throughout the day, which just means our muscles are getting a steady source of protein. Obviously hitting our macros at the end of the day is the thing that we want to focus first and foremost on. However, in doing so, if we do have the ability to give our muscles a steady stream of protein and obviously amino acids from that, it's just going to help with the whole muscle building, muscle retaining process, whether it be bulking or cutting, as far as your goals are concerned. So I'm going to go 46 grams, if I'm being precise, of Optimum Nutrition Gold Standard protein. That's exactly a serving and a half, so it gives me about 30 to 35 grams of protein in addition to whatever it is I'm getting out of the bacon and egg roll in terms of trace protein from the bacon and eggs. That is going to be my first meal of the day today. A bacon and egg roll, a protein shake, or 1.5 serves of protein, along with my red velvet latte. It's probably going to come in at around the 100 grams of carbs, 45 to 50 grams of protein, and probably about 20 to 30 grams of fat. Daily macros today, I've increased them slightly. So I'm at 250 grams of protein, I'm at 100 to 105 grams of fat, and I'm looking at around the 400 grams of carbs mark with an emphasis on pre-workout nutrition because my sessions are starting to get fairly brutal. I'm getting through a ton of volume at the moment, and the thing that I want to make sure I'm doing is fueling myself appropriately for each of my workouts. So I'm going to try and get a really good chunk of carbs in before I train today. I've got chest on the cards, which is always a good session, let's be real. Everyone loves training chest, guys anyway. From there, essentially just making sure I hit my macros. So I've got a few different foods lined up on the cards today. I'm going to take you through each and every one of them. Go through a quick edit on that breakfast because I figure I'm training in like 90 minutes to 2 hours. So I'm going to hit some Pop-Tarts as well for an extra 70 grams of carbs and 10 grams of fat. Huge pre-workout meal, but I want to hit the gym hard today. And lately, because my volume is so high, I've been finding that the more carbs I can get in beforehand, the better I perform. So, cookie dough is the flavor of choice today. Okay team, so I just got back from the gym and filming for a few hours. I'm a man that likes to keep things simple after I train. So typically I will hit, there we go, a Pure Pro 35 or 50 after I train, just depending on what I have planned for the rest of the day. It's pretty much just 35 grams of protein. It just makes things super easy. So I've hit that. I've just gotten home. I'm gonna get through some work and then I'm gonna hit my next meal, which is obviously gonna be a little bit more significant than just a protein shake. One of the things that we wanna try and do when we're hitting our macros each day, if possible, the best thing we can do is hit our macros, obviously. From there, if we can, we want to try and think a little bit about how we end up spreading out our intake over the day. If we can look at spreading our daily protein intake out evenly between the meals that we have, the body is ultimately going to get more frequent feedings of protein throughout the day, which is going to better support muscle building and muscle retention than if, say, you just hit a big serving in the morning and a big serving at night without anything in between. So I want about 250 grams of protein a day at the moment. If I eat 4 or 5 meals a day, I'm typically looking at anywhere between 40 and 60 grams of protein per meal. And then from there, I can obviously look at partitioning my carbs out as well. So typically with a pre-workout meal, ideally that's where I'm gonna place the most emphasis in terms of getting a lot of carbs in. If I can get some more into breakfast, I will try and do that as well. But for me, I try and emphasize those pre-workout carbs and then simply let everything else fall into place in the easiest fashion possible for me to hit my macros. Basically, the idea is to make things as sustainable as possible. Make sure you're hitting your macros first and foremost. That is the thing that you absolutely have to do. However, if you do have the opportunity within that to think about prioritizing your training in terms of fueling yourself accordingly, definitely try and do that, because ultimately your training is what is going to support muscle growth and muscle retention when you're either bulking or dieting. So if you can do that whilst hitting your macros, you're an absolute winner. I'll keep you posted on my next meal. Also, as I go to prepare my next meal, you guys have to check out how clean my kitchen is now. I mentioned before it's super filthy. Well, I have my cleaner in today. There is legitimately nothing anywhere. Okay, so I've ended up planning my day fairly poorly. I was going to eat a proper meal after my protein shake. I had some chicken, a whole bunch of brown rice and some veggies. Super bro, I know, but obviously convenience food is the way to go. So I already had all that stuff cooked and ready to go. Didn't cook the rice because I can't stand cooking rice. It was just another packet brown rice, one of those microwavable preheated options. But I've ended up having to go to the gym. I've trained a client instead. So it means I've still got a mountain of calories to get through. Dinner tonight, I've got a meal that I made the other day. I cooked up a whole batch of beef mince. So for you guys in America, that's ground beef. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to eat that. I'm going to show you guys now what I've got. It's very, very boring looking because you can't pretty much see anything. Basically what is in there is obviously 300 grams of beef mince. We've got a whole bunch of broccoli and that brown rice underneath. Before I cooked the brown rice, I stirred some seasoning into it. It's called Best Ever Burger Seasoning. If you guys are in Australia or have access to it at all, definitely get it. It's like the most delicious thing you'll ever have. It it goes so well with barbecue sauce. It's really salty sort of seasoning, and it makes the meat taste amazing. So with that, what I'm going to do is throw some, because I've got so many calories left to play with now, I'm going to throw some potatoes in there. I got a lot of potatoes. A lot of potatoes. So unfortunately these are actually the low carb potatoes because Beck hasn't got quite so many calories to play with, and we need suitable options for both her and me. So that is going to help me get my carbs up, but unfortunately at this stage it's looking like my dessert is going to be pretty epic. The other thing that I've got to worry about too now is I'm a little bit short on my protein intake. Obviously I only had that protein shake and then missed the meal, which would have given me another sort of 50 or 60 grams of protein. So what I'm going to have to do is either get another meal in late tonight or have a big protein shake. So again, I haven't planned well today. Every day I do a full day of eating, I end up shooting myself in the foot. So I'm going to eat this meal, I'm going to see how I'm feeling after that. I've still got a fair few calories to play with. It's probably looking like a big shake and some chocolate and ice cream. But I'm going to have to play around with my fitness power because I've had to change the rest of my day. See what I can come up with. Almost forgot the most important element of dinner. Wouldn't be a full day of eating video without a Coke Zero. Okay, so just going to add in a couple of Light Laughing Cows now, as you see. Plenty of barbecue sauce. It's like a sugar-free version, that's all we've got left, so I'm just going to estimate that, hence why it's not on the scales. It's legit like 2 or 3 grams of carb per serve, so I figure 5 to 10 grams of carbs, job done as far as that's concerned. You don't really need to be super anal about measuring absolutely everything that you're eating, particularly when you're eating a surplus. Obviously, the margin for error is far greater, which means you got more room to play with. So I tend to estimate things like that, things like vegetables, things that are very low in calories, simply because if you do end up eating a little bit more, chances are that the difference between the amount of calories you're eating is not going to be all that great. So I'm going to smash this and figure out what I can eat for the rest of the day. Okay, after a little bit of thought and planning, I've come up with my plan for the rest of the day. So I had plenty of protein left and plenty of carbs. So what I've come up with is some dessert options to begin with. So I'm going to smash a Smarties ice cream. There's about 80 grams of carbs in here or something like that. I've also got a small handful of Maltesers. I'm definitely going to estimate that. Possibly be a little bit generous too. I'm also going to throw on about 20 grams of peanut butter to the ice cream because peanut butter makes everything delicious, and if you don't believe me, try it. After that, unfortunately, before I go to bed, because I've planned my day so poorly, and I understand the irony in the fact that I'm trying to show you guys how you can go about planning your day and still enjoy the foods that you love, but because I've planned my day so poorly, I'm gonna have a triple serve of protein just before I go to bed. So you guys probably know by now, gold standard banana cream is my flavor of choice. I'm still working on that focus thing. So I'm gonna have 3 serves of banana cream gold standard before I go to bed. Probably gonna mean I fall asleep feeling bloated as, but the thing about bloating is it's only really ever a temporary state. If you feel bloated for an extended period of time, then yeah, chances are you may have some issues. But more often than not, bloating is simply due to an excess amount of food in your stomach that is yet to be digested. If you're smashing tons of fiber, chances are you're going to block up a little bit. You're essentially slowing down the rate at which you digest food. Fiber is like the brake pedal in your car. The more fiber you eat, the harder you smash that brake, and ultimately the slower the food you're eating goes through you. Ideally, if you can aim for anywhere between 8 and 12 grams of fiber for every 1,000 calories you consume, you should be okay. I wouldn't suggest any more than sort of 40 or 50 grams if you can avoid it. Most people do tend to have slightly different tolerances in terms of what they can handle. But just on the off chance you are eating sort of 4,000, 5,000 calories a day, you don't need to worry about sort of eating 60, 70, 80 grams of fiber. Chances are you're full enough already, considering how many calories you're eating, if that does apply to you. Fiber will help you with staying full. Obviously, it's slowing down the digestion process. It's keeping food in your system for longer, which means you are going to feel fuller. So if you are dieting, you always want to make sure that you are definitely hitting and meeting your fiber requirements to help with that. Probably going to wake up in the morning feeling okay though, because I'm going to have a whole lot of time to digest that last big meal and my dessert, and that is me done for another day. Guys, if you have any questions about the way that I eat, the way that I approach things, or you just want to do a little bit more research, either pop a question in the comment section below or check the description section, because you can grab a copy of the If It Fits Your Macro Bible for yourself via the information in there. It's been a blast as always, guys. If you have any questions, like I said, hit me down below. Until next time.